Change your heart, change your life, change the planet.
Our brains use food to mitigate the stress that we're under. And we don't have acute stressors for the most part. We have chronic stressors. So our brains are continually looking at food as a way to mitigate that stress. What I suggest, rather than removing things and rather going on a diet and having these rules that really work against the brain, I'm a much bigger fan of mindful eating rather than mindless eating. So mindful eating is where someone offers you a cookie and you say, okay, this cookie is problematic, I know that. And this cookie is going to have a negative effect on me in an hour or possibly the next day. But this person is really encouraging me to do it. And right now I am under some degree of stress, and this will relieve it to a degree. It will. It will have a certain effect on the brain that'll put me in a slightly more positive state. So I'm going to be mindful as I eat this cookie. I'm going to feel it in my hands. I'm going to look at what kind of cookie it is. Is it chocolate chip? Is it oatmeal? Is it a fruit-based cookie? And really take in the details. I'm going to smell it before I put it in my mouth. What can I notice about the smell of this cookie? What do I smell? Do I smell chocolate? Do I smell raisins? Do I smell baking carbohydrates, like the smell of oatmeal that's been cooked and baked? Then, after I've taken in all those details, I put it in my mouth. I let my lips touch it. And then I let the saliva gently touch it and sink into it. And then my teeth slowly bite down. And what is that experience like? Do my teeth cut through it smoothly, or do they get caught up on oats or raisins or whatever else might be in there? Is there gooey chocolate that's melting? Do I feel warmth? Is the cookie fresh baked? Or is the cookie made who knows when and it's just room temperature now? And then as I start to slowly chew it, what flavors are coming out? And the longer I chew and the more saliva that I produce, I'm going to start breaking down the complex carbohydrates in my mouth, and that's going to change the flavor. So what flavors are coming out as my saliva warms up and begins to digest it? So you go through this process. It's not about avoiding the cookie. It's not about saying cookies are evil and I shouldn't have it. It's about saying that, okay, I'm under stress and I'm feeling this social pressure right now to do this thing. And rather than trying to put up a wall to protect myself, let's engage, but let's do so in a really powerful and present way. Let's be really present to that cookie so that I'm not just getting the momentary stress release from the sugar and the fat and the salt, but I'm getting also this additional effect of this enriched experience, this slow process of deliberately paying attention to or attending to the experience of eating the cookie. So rather than mindlessly putting one cookie in your mouth and then suddenly you wake up out of this fog and you realize that you're about to put the 8th cookie in your mouth, you've been eating mindlessly. You haven't even been tasting them or experiencing them. So when you slow down and mindfully eat a single cookie, or maybe even just half a cookie, that experience is so rewarding on so many different levels that the stress is gone. And because you're being present, you're much more likely to now be in tune with other things that are going on in your body and in your environment. And you're most likely not going to go for cookie number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7. So we want to slow down. We want to get present. And when we do this, we don't really need the rules. We don't really need to avoid things. Maybe I'll just smell the cookie. And let's see what I can get out of smelling it. Or maybe I'll describe the way it looks. And just see, is that enough? Is that enriching enough for me? Maybe it's a fresh baked cookie, and maybe just the smell. Let's really get present to the smell. Maybe that's enough. And then I feel good. Maybe it's not. Okay, so I put it in my mouth. And I spend 2 minutes with that first bite. I take 2 minutes with a single bite, and I just soak up every detail I can. It's going to change you because The parts of the brain that are required to have that experience are the parts of the brain that turn down the stress response. So you can't have an elevated stress response and a mindful experience at the same time. Consciously engaging in mindfulness and the somatosensory experience is going to tone down that stressor. It's going to make the amygdala less reactive. It's going to make the brainstem less reactive. It's going to make the anterior cingulate cortex less reactive, and it's going to put you in a more balanced mental state. So, and then when we're in that more balanced state, we can then, in a calm approach, take a look at the underlying stressor. Okay, why was I stressed? I'm grateful for this cookie because that one bite of cookie or the half of the cookie or maybe the whole cookie did give me some positive benefit, and the mindfulness now really tuned me in. So let's take a look at where that stress was coming from now that I'm off the ledge. And let's see what else I can change from this point forward in my day. So the cookie no longer becomes something that you fear, but the cookie can be something that maybe every now and again you can employ to help you off the ledge. And it doesn't have to be a cookie. It could be a date. It could be a few almonds. It could be anything. We don't need to control things when we take this approach, because we can't control the world. We can try. We can try to set up rules and try to plan our meals and avoid certain foods and avoid certain people and take the AA approach, which is essentially re-engineering your environment to make sure that you don't even have a trigger anywhere near you. And there is some value to that, but at the same time, if you freak out or panic, if any one of those rules is broken, or if a trigger forces its way into your environment and you don't know how to deal with that, well, then it's not a great system. It's allowing you to be fragile inside of these walls that you're building. These bright lines become walls. They become a prison cell, like a lobster. A lobster is a hard shell on the outside, and it's this really fragile, soft creature on the inside. And what we want to do is to create an experience that is not so fragile, an experience of being me, that I can be around cookies and I'm good, and I can, or be around alcohol and I'm good, or I can be around people that might be engaging in something negative and I'm good. Because when I get mindful to it, when I get present to it, I see that the appeal is really fleeting and it's not all that it's cracked up to be. And the social experience that these people are having is not one of mindfulness, it's one of mindlessness. And when I'm around that and really in tune with it, it loses its appeal. So that I can be anywhere and I don't have to control my environment, I don't have to control my food, because I'm really present to eating. And then the rules aren't really necessary. You eat what makes you feel powerful. And when the occasion strikes where you have a little stress and your brain tells you that food is a great way to deal with that, you say, okay, brain, you're right. I'm going to have a little bit of something, and I'm going to be really present to it as I do so, and that's going to do the trick. It's a 1-2 punch. And that way we're not building this hard shell on the outside with this really, really fragile existence underneath. We're actually building resilience, and we're building character, and we're building the ability to be in any environment, at any time, with anyone, and still be able to make powerful decisions. Here's how you change your diet. Doesn't matter what it is. You don't change your diet. You take small steps. You break it down into the tiniest steps possible, and you focus on the task at hand, regardless of what kind of dietary change you want to make.